It's another delicious day here in the Let's Make Food for Food kitchen. It's time for another kitchen adventure. Today we're going to make some Avgolemono soup. What is that? It's a lemon chicken soup. It's a Greek dish. Now the version I'm making today is a little more on the traditional side. It's meant as an appetizer, though you could make a hearty version of this, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So right now I have one whole chicken. I've already rinsed it and it's ready to go into my large pot here. I had to bring one from my personal kitchen because my little blue one's just not big enough. So once you've got it cleaned out and ready to go, you're just going to take the whole chicken and put it in your pot. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of this and we'll do the rest of it. Okay, I am ready to move on. What I have here is a basket, and it looks like a big loose leaf tea basket, but I use it in, it's not for tea. I guess if you're making a huge batch of tea, that could be for tea, but I'm using it for my soup. Now, if you don't have one of these, you could use cheesecloth and twine. If you don't have that, you could just throw it all in the pot and then strain it. However you need to go about it. I'm going to put my dill in here. I've got a couple of sprigs of dill, okay, and I'm just going to stick it right in the basket. All right, and I'm going to set my parsley aside because I don't need that until the end. I just had it set out and ready to go because lately I've been missing stuff, setting it out. A whole onion, purple, right in the pot with the chicken. Okay, and I have two, let's start with this so we can get it out of the way. I'm just going to trim the ends for my celery. I have one whole celery stick I'm going to pop in there. You could use two. My husband just doesn't like it so much, so just trimming the ends of the carrots, and then I am going to peel those real quick and then cut them in half and put those in the pot as well. And the only reason I cut them is so that they fit in the pot. It has nothing to do with how it flavors. It's going to flavor no matter what. So I just want to peel these off. I did wash them, but they still need, they're a little older because they've been in my fridge and they froze a little bit. My little fridge up here has a temperature control, so everything just freezes if I'm not careful, and I forgot. So they froze, which is why they're a little wimpy, but they're still very fresh. As you can see, they're not discoloring or anything. They're still very good, which makes them perfect to use in the soup because I don't need them to be crispy, crunchy. Okay, so I'm just going to cut those in half and toss them right in there. And then I'm going to take my peppercorns, my coriander. I need to smash my garlic just to break it up and release the flavors a little bit. And I'm just going to stick those right in my basket, and 2 bay leaves. Okay, so that gets us almost ready, but not quite. What I need to do now is take my lemon that I have washed, and I'm going to carefully peel just the zest. So I don't want to get a bunch of white. If you get a bunch of white, it'll be bitter. Okay, and we're going to stick that right in our basket. This is where you're going to get the majority of your lemon flavor. Yes, we'll use the lemon juice from this lemon. However, this rind here, the zest, is going to give us the best flavor. So I'm going to take as much as I can off of this lemon and get it right here into my little basket. Okay, so that looks good to me. I've done my due diligence. I think one little more slice there, ready to go. Okay, I'm just going to close this up. This is what I use primarily when I make pho. Yes, I said pho. I'm still working on that one because it's not something I grew up making. So I'll talk about that another time. I will make it. I've got a pitcher of filtered water here, and I want to do a minimum of 4 cups, but I need to cover my chicken completely. So I might have to get a little bit more. While this is filtering, I'm going to pull my parsley and put my basket in here. I just hang the little hook on the side so it's easier to take out. I do use tongs because it is hot. And I'm pulling parsley just as a garnish to make it look pretty because it's otherwise kind of just not very pretty. But okay, I think it's about done. So I'm going to continue filling up my pot here and get everything covered. Once everything's covered, you're good to go. There we go. That looks good. Now, I'm going to bring this to a boil, And once it's come to a boil, I'm going to reduce it down to a simmer. I'm going to simmer it for an hour and 15, hour and a half. I just want my chicken to pull off the bone. Okay, so when the chicken's done, the broth is done. It should reduce down some. It will probably foam up a little bit as you're cooking. Just go ahead and skim that foam off. Now you'll need a short grain rice, and I mention that now because you will need to rinse it super well, and then you're going to soak it for 30 minutes. So you'll rinse it till the water runs clear, soak it. I'll put a link below on how to do that. I've mentioned it before, and I have done a video on how to do it. So you're going to rinse your rice, you're going to soak it for 30 minutes, and do that when this is about half done, maybe a little bit more, so that it's not soaking for too long. So that's what we're going to do. I'm using the arborio rice for mine. See it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and prepare my rice for the soup. So I'm going to rinse it until it runs clear, and then I'm going to soak it in cold water for about 30 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. Everything's off, and what I need to do now is get everything out of the pot of broth. Making a mess. I'm holding this chicken up to let it drain some. I'm going to set this aside for a couple of minutes. I need it to cool enough for me to touch, and I have a few things that I can do while that's happening. So I'm going to set this over here, and then I'm going to fish out all of my veggies that I put in here. You can compost these. You can, I mean, there's lots of things you can do with it, but I'm going to put it in my sieve here to just kind of drain them for a minute. Oop, there's a chicken wing. Chicken wing came off, so we'll put that in here. I'm going to save these bones and use them in a stock, because why waste it? Okay, that should be it. Ooh, I can smell that lemon. Oh, yes. That's exactly what I want. Okay, so I'm going to dump those in there. Okay, that too. The next thing I need to do is, okay, so you should have at least a liter. Let's talk about that first. You should have at least a liter of stock. Let me get my, it shouldn't be so hot that it'll melt my cutting board, but I don't want to take any chances. Okay, so I'm going to put this one on here. Okay, I'm going to set my sieve there and turn this on to a boil. So I'm going to take this pot of broth. Let's see so you can, it's got a beautiful color. I'm just running it through here to strain any little bits out, because I'd like a nice clear broth. I didn't get out a ton, there wasn't a lot. That's a beautiful amount. That's going to be a nice big bowl of soup. Okay, so that's what I have left, and that can just go away. Now, what I need to do is drain my rice that I've been soaking. We've been soaking this, right, for a half an hour. Did you rinse it and soak it? And see, it's still a little cloudy. So I am going to rinse it a little bit more before I stick it in here, because I want it nice and clean and clear. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to leave my tongs there, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to add my rice into the pot, and this will take about 20-25 minutes for the rice to cook. So I'm going to give my chicken some time to cool here. In about 10 minutes, it should be fine for me to go ahead and start pulling it apart. I want to get all the meat off of the bone, so I'm going to do that. If you've never deboned cooked chicken, turkey, whatever, there is a video that I did to a turkey. It's the same process for a chicken. I'll put a link down below to that, because I don't think you want to sit here and watch me do all of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and this will be almost done, and I'll come back for the next steps. I have at least 5 more minutes on my rice, maybe 10. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in all of this delicious, beautiful chicken back into my pot. Okay, it's going to be a pretty full pot. It's so good. Okay, and I need to then clean this up and get this out of the way, because we have another very important step for this soup. So we're going to work on that as soon as I clear out my cutting board. As you can see, I picked pretty clean my chicken, but I'm going to take the bones and make a stock. A broth, a stock broth, whatever. So I have 2 room temperature eggs, and I need to crack them into this bowl. And this part is very important. If you were to just crack these into your soup, you're making instant scrambled eggs, and that is not what we want. So I'm gonna whisk these and get them nice and frothy. And you can use a hand immersion blender, whatever you need to use to get this done. Now I need to take the juice of 1 lemon and get that into my egg. I couldn't say it all at once. Get into my egg. Okay, we're trying to get out as much as we can. Okay, I'm going to set these aside because I want to use them to make something else. There we go, that's a good amount. So I am going to whisk this some more. I had a little foam, but I think I'd like to try and get just a little bit more foam. Now, I'm going to drizzle this as I whisk. So you'll notice that this will start to thicken up, and that is the acidic value of the lemon reacting with the proteins in the egg. Pretty cool, huh? The reason we do it this way is we want it to thicken, but we don't want just a bunch of scrambled eggs. So that's nice and foamy. So here's the trick. Just like if you've ever made eggnog, and if you haven't, I have made some and I'll put a link down below, it's delicious. We are going to just a little bit at a time as we whisk, drizzle some of the hot boiling broth in there. And we do that to slowly warm up the eggs. Okay, and it takes a few minutes. I think I need to turn this down some. So we're gonna bring it down to a simmer. Okay, and I'm just gonna keep adding this to warm up the eggs slowly. And I'm gonna do this until the bowl is almost full because I really want nice warm eggs before I add it into the pot with the rest of it. This might seem time consuming, but it is so worth it. I promise this step is worth it. Okay. I want to check my broth and taste for salt content. Definitely need to add some salt. So I'm gonna add my salt. And you can do that to taste, and some fresh cracked pepper. Okay, I'm going to stir that in, and I'm going to do another ladle or so of this, and then add it back into my pot. So now what I want to do is slowly add this back in and stir as I add it, but I don't want to bring it back to a boil at any point, okay? So I'm just slowly stirring as I add my broth. My egg mix, I guess. My broth egg mix back in. And this is what helps give it that creamy, yet still yellowish color. It's the egg. It's not the lemon. It's the egg, okay? Now look at this broth. That looks beautiful. So I'm going to check my salt content and pepper content again, and then I'm just going to let it sit here like this for about 10 minutes on a low heat, and then we're ready to serve it up. Okay, I am ready to serve up some soup. Look at this. This is fabulous, you guys. Thick and creamy, and again, like I said, you can make this a hearty soup, and I think maybe at some point I'll do that. And we'll just sprinkle a little bit of parsley on it to give it a little color. Doesn't that look beautiful? All that's left is to taste my beautiful, delicious soup. It's really hot though. You guys, please make this. It's got layers of flavors. It's creamy and lemony and chicken, and it's just, it's a flavor bomb. It's so, so, so good. This is going to go delicious with my rolls. Check this out. Don't they look delicious? Give them a try too. That'll be in the video I made earlier this week, so go check that out too. What is it you'd like to learn how to make? Tell me what it is down below in the comments. Thanks for joining me today in the Let's Make Food from Food kitchen. As always, from my kitchen to yours, let's make food from food.
That's one boy.